Tri-City Sports Now. I am Marky Bilson. I mentioned there was some guy talk that I wanted to get to today. You know, I'm the AC/DC fan. New reports coming out that, yes, there is... You keep reading this on Facebook, that they're coming out. Brian Johnson is back in the group. That's a long time coming. And that the album will be a dedication to Malcolm Young. My question is this. Wasn't it the last album? I mean, didn't they give Malcolm Young a lot of writing credits and, you know, a lot of that on, yeah. Didn't they do that before? Just a thought. By the way, I will say this about that album, AC/DC, what they did. The ball game it was the wild card playoff game that the Royals won in 2014. In dramatic fashion, extra innings coming from behind. I still say that's the greatest game ever played, because not only was it won in dramatic fashion by the Royals, who were in the playoffs for the first time in 29 years and went on to win the pennant and the World Series the next year, but that's when AC/DC broke out their latest album and they started playing it on the broadcast. Now, you know, you can tell me about the 6th game of the 2011 World Series. You can talk about the 7th game of the 60 World Series, or the 6th game of the 75 series, or Game 7 of the 92 NLCS, or the 6th game of the 86 series, all that sort of stuff. No! American League 2014 Wild Card, greatest game of all time. Walk-off victory, come from behind to the bottom of the 9th inning. You needed to steal a third to do it, and AC/DC started debuting play ball on the broadcast. Now, you tell me. I mean, you know, they're just... Anyway, that's what they say. You know, there also was some talk that it could be their last album. I mean, yeah, Brian Johnson has had the hearing issues and is in 70s now and all that. Cliff Williams said he was going to leave the band. They may need to find a new bassist, although now there's been some pictures of him continuing to play in Vancouver. You know, all this sort of stuff. But, I don't know. It seems to me that AC/DC, you know, we've heard a lot of it. This will be the last tour. This will be the last album from a lot of people, and it never seems that it is. And, well, in AC/DC's case, I don't know how much of a step they really have lost. I don't think much, if at all. The other thing that's gotten a lot of news, actually, is Bridget Moynahan. And she, of course, was... Let's see here, Tom Brady's girlfriend before he met Gisele Bündchen. Now, the only thing that I really have against Tom Brady, and I guess this comes from being a child of divorce, not having a father around, you know, all that. In fact, it's not that I guess. I think that I should, even if I didn't have that background, that this should not be necessarily tolerated. But yeah, he knocked up, did Tom Brady, Bridget Moynahan, and the next thing you know, they're not denying him anymore, and he's dating Gisele Bündchen. How convenient. That's what the only, you know, I always thought Deflategate was absolutely overblown. So the only thing against Tom Brady that I can't, you know, obviously, I mean, you know, that is sounding, okay, I knock up this woman and marry another. You know, that's always a little bit. Anyway, in fact, Bridget Moynahan, you read the book by my college buddy, Michael Holley, Patriot Reign, which was one of the first books ever written about the Patriots dynasty. And I got to tell you this, he, in his photo sections, it isn't Gisele Bündchen, you got to understand the time it was Tom Brady, the ladies' man. Here he is with Bridget Moynahan. You know. She's 47 now, and she has a book and some publicists. Her book is called Our Shoes Ourselves, and the book, which she co-wrote with Amanda Benchley, dives in personal narratives that a single pair of women's shoes may represent and how they hold significance in their lives. Now that's a new way to look at things. Anyway, yes, when Moynahan spoke about her black Miu Miu, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, boots that are featured in the book, she said she was taken to a very specific period in time when she decided, I guess, I was going to take a little bit of my life back. Women and shoes. I mean, it's not just Imelda Marcos. Again, there's a child of the 80s reference. My goodness. I gotta, she paved the way, did she not, for, but women and shoes, yes, anyway. But anyway, it should be pointed out, I told you a little bit about this. Moynahan felt that she was being followed everywhere she went, and it was one time in particular that led her to a pair of shoes and a revelation. One time I was followed to the mall. This was right after her relationship with Tom Brady broke up. And I snuck around and found myself in a store. Maybe she was snoring in the store. I don't know. I was trying sometime that maybe I lost this person and ended up in the shoe department. Hence, a book. Okay. When asked to reflect on calling these boots the security blanket on my feet in the book, Moynahan said she may have subconsciously been holding on to the feeling until the project made her click in. I was going into a public space still or walking through the streets. Sometimes I change or hide a little bit because of the period of time, because of that attention that was unwanted. I feel, and so then she talks about her book. I mentioned Brian Johnson. A lot of times he will say he can't remember something until you place it with a car. No, remember, I don't remember that trip. No, remember we took this car to that location. Oh, yeah. No, I remember you, the car. He's race car. He's a big car guy, all this sort of stuff. So what Brian Johnson it was to cars, it is now Bridget Moynahan to shoes. That's a feminine thing, but thank goodness for high heels. That's all I have to say. Thank goodness for. I'm not going to criticize her that much, but then again, that does seem a little bit odd. I'm not going to say anything more. I don't want to get into. I don't want. I want to have Tom Brady's agent on the show, so I don't want to say anything more. We talked a little bit about Brady. He's gotten up to the modern era. He's now using a proper helmet and all this. I want to remind everybody we're about 5 minutes away, well, a little bit more than that, from Josh Brown, Knockoma Nation. Also want to remind people, you heard that a couple of things. I mentioned Wolcott, Connecticut, who beat Unicoi County 1-0. They're 6-2 on the year. And I get a team from Connecticut, and you say, well, how do they play them? And all that. They're 6-2 on the year. You don't play as many games up in Northeast, obviously, because of weather, but okay, 6-2. So they weren't losing to a slouch. Number 2, got to mention this. The ETSU baseball game against Wofford, which will be for second place in the Southern Conference. It is scheduled now to begin at 3. So in about 95 minutes, they're going to throw the first pitch. Landon Knack taking a bump, putting his 8-0 record on the line for ETSU against the Wofford Terriers here in Johnson City. Anyway, by the way, it should also be mentioned that speaking of ETSU and Wofford, the women's tennis team actually is down in Macon playing Wofford, today. Wofford, actually number 3. By the way, also the ETSU Furman softball game was canceled. ETSU rebounded from their no-hit loss to Tennessee with a victory yesterday against the Paladins. Anyway, it's rained all day, but they have moved the first pitch of the ball game up to 3 p.m. And let's see here. Do we have any more? I'm going to follow ETSU Baseball Twitter, and as we speak, first 100 children, by the way, get a Zaxby's coupon there. But the game, as we speak, is now still on. But it has been moved up to 3 p.m. ETSU and the Wofford Terriers. Anyway, so. I want to also mention that you can listen to our broadcast on, jetbroadcasting.live, as well as watch it on the 1420 WEMB Sports Radio Facebook page. By the way, speaking of changes, all this, a lot of times this time we're talking to Jerry Bonkowski about NASCAR. He's taken the day off since there are no races this week, being Easter weekend. Due to the weather forecast, however, today and all the rain we've had, Kingsport Speedway officials have decided to cancel the NASCAR All-American Weekly Racing Series event scheduled for April the 19th. Plans are to return with its weekly racing program on Friday, April the 26th. So, there you go. By the way, the tennis team taking on Wofford. Normally I wouldn't talk about college tennis, but I figured it was kind of ironic that the tennis and baseball teams at ETSU were playing the same opponent. It should be mentioned that this is, let's see here, the women's Southern Conference tournament going on right now, and Wofford is the third seed, ETSU is the second. So if you want to follow that on, Facebook or whatever. Anyway, we'll be talking to Josh Brown very shortly. There are big. I guess one of the things also to talk about here is it's a big story in a paper about actually ACC football. Looking ahead, who the quarterbacks will be, and all of this. Of course, there are a lot of changes. Mac Brown is now going to be the coach at North Carolina once again. Georgia Tech has gone away from the option, but it still seems a pretty big constant. Just like Alabama and the SEC, it's Clemson's conference to lose. However, there are a lot of new quarterbacks that would be coming in, as well as a lot of new coaches. Jeff Collins at Georgia Tech, Manny Diaz at Miami. Let's put it that way. But the interesting thing is that down at Florida State, redshirt sophomore James Blackman, full-time starter a couple of years ago, but he missed with a ruptured patella tendon the entire year last year. Of course, Florida State hasn't been a whole lot the last 2 years, but that might be something right there that could turn them around. Might just have to be to save Willie Taggart's job. By the way, also new Louisville head coach Scott Satterfield. He's got a lot of different quarterbacks here. Jawan Pass or Malik Cunningham he is looking to. But Miami, I think they'll probably go with Tate Martell, the transfer from Ohio State. Let's see here. Other guys, Virginia Tech, Josh Jackson is transferred to Maryland. Nathan Elliott transferred to Arkansas State from North Carolina. And also one of the reasons why Blackman might be coming back to Florida State is that Florida State kicked off their previous starting quarterback, DeAndre Francois, from the team due to disciplinary reasons and such. So, quick look at the ACC right there. Tri-City Sports Now, coming back with Josh Brown after this.